Hey everybody, here's another episode of Twinkies Television. Right now we're doing a deck, or not even really a reskin, but basically we had to fix the stairs a little bit on this bad boy. We ran some new fascia. As you can see, we did a fun little flashing detail all the way down and around this thing. And it's been a heck of a doozy of a project, I'll say that, longer than one might think. And today we're going to be doing and demonstrating a Westbury application, which anyone that's on Westbury Rail, it's about as easy as it gets. Just kind of knowing some of the ins and the outs, some of the tips and the tricks. And I'm going to flip my kit. And what you can see is I have all of my Westbury railing lined up out of the box, figured out where they had to go. That's something to definitely pay attention to, is to grab your Westbury section sphere, which you have, check your spacings, make sure you don't use the wrong one in the wrong place. For example, I have an 8-foot piece here of Westbury rail, and you can see going down the line that all of my places and spaces, I grab my tape measure because that always happens when you turn on the camera, you don't have what you need. And you can see look, Stanley, if you want to endorse us, we love your tape measures, especially this magnetic one. It's awesome, catching flashing or hangers and things for measurements. But anyway, you'll notice that my spacings usually don't exceed about 4 feet, and that actually happens all the way around, other than over here on this side of the deck. I know one of these is close to 6 feet or a little above, so it's just not that you really need a measuring lesson. But you can see my spacing here, we're not going over 5.5 feet. So you wonder, where does this 8-foot section go? And that's why it's so important that you count and pay attention to your measurements, your distances, and what you've been sent out. And notice that I have all these small sections that'll end up getting chewed up, or that 8-foot is designed to be chewed up in those specific and particular places, all of which add up to be about 8 feet. Either way, so let's go ahead and move on a little bit. Right now, you can see that I have everything lined up. The way I like to do it is I line up all of my rail sections, the balusters, all of those fun things, the parts, the components, the screws, the brackets. You're going to need obviously a number 2 square bit. I like a what do we have here, 5/64, so drill bit that's perfect. Some people like to just screw it in, which you can do with these screws, but I like a good 5/32 drill bit. That one works nice, and I've created a jig just out of a little chunk of wood, which I'll show you later when putting in the brackets. It makes it go really smooth, really fast. It's an 1 3/8 from Westbury. Standard protocol for this type of rail system and the actual plate width of the Westbury posts. So I created that jig, makes it go really, really fast. But more so, you go around, and the way to do this, if you haven't done it before, it's very simple. A lot of people like to take measurements. I like to actually do it within the spaces that I've been provided. And I'll take, as you can see here, I've made marks on this post at exactly from post to hole. It's about 1'11". And then here we have 1'11", 11/16. So I know that those things are equal, and I do that all the way around the deck. I go and I double check my measurements, make sure that they're correct, and then I cut them exactly where they're at. And then I will walk around and I will take all the brackets and I will put them into the posts exactly where they need to be with my jig, so that once I'm done, as I move around in a circle, rather than wasting time just putting in a bunch of brackets wherever, I can get all these members cut, all of my top and bottom rail cut, and then I'll start again at my central location, or my first location, and I'll start installing brackets. And instead of walking back and around and going up and down on my knees over and over again, I can go literally to each section. They've already been cut, install my brackets, put it together, and then keep moving on. So that's just the way that I like to do it. Again, those cliff notes. Check your spaces, measurements change. Sometimes if you didn't plumb it perfectly, it can mess you up a little bit. Change the spacings left to right. And then obviously figure out equal distance left and right by simply putting it there and scribing. I found scribing sometimes is the best method and the formidable most opponent to doing something wrong. You can see Luke's kind of plumbing some posts down there. As of right now, all the stair posts for this thing, which obviously pay attention to how he's doing it. The way we like to do those is Westbury comes with these handy dandy nuts that you can or bolts that you can screw into this thing to plumb it. But what I like to do is I take these legs they have these nice structural screws that go into here, and I tighten them to not super tight, just to where the post can't move. I want the post to just kind of be pretty rigid, pretty stiff, and then I'll use those bolts to get it basically plumb right away, and then I'll finish off those structural screws. So plumb it with the bolts that they come with, and then you can finish your screws. It'll save you a lot of headache, a lot of constantly screwing. Those leg construction screws will kind of weaken the connection to the blocking you have underneath. Also an important facet of what we're doing here. You want to do a double 2x6, double 2x10, whatever's going to be wide enough to take on the post and its skirt, which is about 4 inches. So make sure to do blocking in all of your areas with at least 3 inches of depth, so that your screws don't poke out the bottom, inspectors don't see it, and sometimes they'll flag it and you'll have to go back and whatever. You don't want to deal with that. So we'll do the brackets in a little bit, but now you know how to space them out, what I do to kind of find success in laying everything out and working around in a circle rather than kind of just bopping around from thing to thing. And we'll see how it goes. This is Twinkie Television, out and out.